It is Yoda Monday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Let's turn our attention to the latest iteration of All Good One's easy meditation. In junior high school, our gym coaches reminded us to first warm up before our main activity and also cool down before we return to class. We're going to follow a similar outline in today's sadhana. The view of reality that supports letting go is the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. It is known by many names, including Mahayoga's wisdom warm-up. No, we're not trying to think our way to nirvana. We're simply playing with concepts that make it letting go easier. Concepts that we already know. Let us begin by chanting an explanation of the 12-syllable mantra. I invoke teachers from loving action of mindfulness and meditation, as well as the Hung view supporting release that the Benza-tantric Guru teachers pay my enlightenment and siddhi abilities Hung may be mastered by all. Together, rather than indulge our controlling tendencies with our follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these wise words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors with statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. So, what we're going to do is, in order to keep track of our first of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions, we're going to touch the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left little finger, and then rest our left hand upon our left thigh. As a fringe benefit, doing so could gently invite our subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Please chant with me. May we see how all circumstances are lots appearing yet void, as a paradise of like habeas impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. So what we're going to do is take all these words and allow them to coalesce into simply 6 syllables, which we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. We're now going to silently and mentally recite all these 6 syllables during our inhalation. During our exhalation, we're going to physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Now, let me click the right button here. So, here's how we do that. Each finger represents 1 breath. Each set of creases represents 1 repetition. Let's give that a shot. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Me Maziri Hung 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 Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 In order to keep track of our second of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions, we could rest the tip of our left thumb against the tip of our left ring finger and rest this left hand upon our left thigh. Please chant with me. May we feel how all bodies are from sensual and void, as a Buddha's real or imagined archetype of life could be as impermanent and interdependent. As if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communication or speech. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 In an effort to keep track of our third of 9 collections of our right hand's enumeration of 12 mantra repetitions, we could gently touch the tip of our left thumb to our left middle finger, and then rest this left hand upon our left thigh. Doing so could gently invite our subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. May we hear how all interpersonal speech resounding yet void, as a real or imagined mantra of life could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. So we're going to take all these words and allow them to coalesce into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. During our inhalation, we repeat the 6 syllables in entirety. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Now, please if this is your first time hanging out with me or hanging out with me, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Our top priority is not how rapidly you recite the mantra or how beautifully you intone the mantra, but how vulnerably you perceive as you breathe in, and how physically and how profoundly you relax as you breathe out. That's the most important aspect of this exercise. Additionally, I found it's helpful to remember this. During this exercise, we're going to count one breath per finger. And we're going to keep track of each repetition one repetition per set of creases. Let's give this a shot. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 So we're not trying to believe our way to nirvana or think our way there. We're simply playing with ideas to help limber up our mind in preparation for mindfulness and meditation, which is the real dynamo of enlightenment. In an effort to keep track of our fourth of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions, wrong button, we could gingerly touch the tip of our left thumb to our left index finger, and then rest our left hand upon our left thigh, thus gently inviting our subtle energies to coalesce upon the crown of our head. Please chant with me. Got to make sure that this is fitting on the screen okay? Good. Here we go. May we feel how all minds are lucid yet void. As real Let's try this again. May we feel how all minds lucid yet void, as a real or imagined zirhung of light could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into our vast empty void. Now, what is an empty void like? Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 We will turn to the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, known by many terms, including Hatha Yoga's mindfulness and meditation, after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School for more than 30 years. I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you will not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Welcome to this morning's live stream. Let us begin with the first phase of mindful crease counting. The luxury car of mindfulness and meditation traverses the smooth road afforded to us by Anu Yoga's energy work. There are many forms of energy work. The energy work that I feel is most efficient is the mudra, or finger gesture oriented energy work. Please bear with me while I wet my whistle. All right. So, in order to keep track of our first of 4 collections, of our left hand's 8 sets and our right hand's 8 repetitions, we perform the following. Back in junior high, I learned to bodybuild, and they told me to do 3 sets of 10 repetitions. We're going to do something very similar. We're going to pretend that a round is simply 1 inhalation and 1 exhalation. And we can, over the net, and during the next 8 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To multiply that by 8 for a total of 64, we count sets. 1 set of 8 reps, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets, 6 sets, 7 sets, 8 sets of 8 reps for a total of 64. Now, I mentioned this is our first of 4 collections of 64. We keep track of our first collection by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger. Whoopsie. I think I'm turned around. Yes, I am. By resting the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger in our lap, palms up so that our thumbs could happily count creases. Yes, this is oddly complex, but repetition really is the mother of skill. Practice, come to a live stream every 12 hours or so, and within a week or 2 you could master everything taught in this morning's practice. As a fringe benefit of holding our left right index knuckle, our subtle energies are gently invited to coalesce at the crown of our head. So now that we know what to do with our hands, let's explore what to do with our mind. Come, let us demystify enlightenment. What if enlightenment did not mean you were a Jedi Knight, did not mean you were Gandalf the Grey, did not mean you could walk through walls or conjure winning lottery tickets? It simply meant that you had mastered the Buddha's Eightfold Path. But what does it mean? Oopsie, I think I made a boo-boo. Okay, but what does it mean to master anything? As children, we weren't born knowing how to use the toilet or brush our teeth or ride a bicycle or even tie our shoes, but we learned to tie all of these things after much time and effort and tears. Eventually we got so good at tying our shoes that we could do so spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That is mastery. So we can master the Buddha's Eightfold Path, and here's what's wild. The key to effortlessly mastering the first 6 folds of the path is simply to practice the final 2 folds of the path. The 7th fold of the path is mindfulness. The 8th fold of the path is meditation. And by the end of this morning's practice, you will viscerally get how these 2 unlock the prison door to liberation. So let's begin by chanting this next bit together. The nudity of the octypical couple sporting in tantric union reminds us of the vulnerability so crucial to mindfulness. All complex animal life forms on this planet have evolved to think symbolically. That is why in every culture we find figures of speech, Working skillfully with figures of speech is the quickest way to speak to the most inner recesses of our mind. So let us explore the neuroscience of mindfulness and meditation. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. What could that suckiness look like? All of us, raised in late-stage capitalism, have been indoctrinated to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, sometimes to the point of actually denigrating those who strive to be flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. My Fox News relatives would not call me stupid, but they would call me naive. So when these rigid people try teaching meditation, what they wind up doing is imploring their students to actively focus and actively analyze. Now, these behaviors are only performed by the discrete neural pathways found in regions such as the medial prefrontal cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Here's the problem. Overusing this area of our brain triggers our almond-shaped amygdala, which functions as the seat of anxiety and aggression. So how darkly ironic is it that in the name of peace and love, we set out on a path that takes us in the opposite direction? But I've got some good news for you. Neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. That's good. Let's explore mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired by evolution to automatically access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us notice in a very special way, to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which I'm sure you can see is the opposite of concentration. But what is it we're supposed to notice? Mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, such as emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now, this seems like a lot of work. Fortunately, there's an easy way to do this. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we interrupt our cerebral cortex's habit of ignoring our sympathetic nervous system, and instead it cooperates with our sympathetic nervous system. But that doesn't answer the question, what do we do with all these things that we've noticed? That's where meditation comes in. Because every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired by evolution to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to both physically relax as well as mentally release, to the degree that what we perceived during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and less defining, thus less controlling. The easiest way to practice this is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Doing so interrupts the cerebral cortex, the brain's habit of ignoring the parasympathetic nervous system, and instead invites it to cooperate with it. And that's all we're doing in meditation. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to reinvent the mindfulness of the sympathetic nervous system or the meditation of the parasympathetic nervous system. We're simply helping our brain to align its intention to exist in greater harmony with these two important facets of our autonomic nervous system. And now, together as a team, let's meditate. We come now to the second phase of mindful crease counting, wherein we keep track of our second of 4 collections of our left hand's 8 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of our right hand's 8 repetitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By resting the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, in our lap, palms up, so that our thumbs might happily count creases. As such, our subtle energies are gently invited to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. Please chant with me. The translucence of the all-good Father and Mother depicted in paintings reminds us of meditation's experience of impermanence and non-graspability. By way of review, the key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus helping us to notice our mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination in a distinctly vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting manner. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, thus causing us to release what we perceived during our previous inhalation as if they were fleetingly less solid, less permanent, and less defining. The first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is the right view of impermanence. For impermanence makes of grasping an absurdity. And here's the great irony. As promised, the more we practice mindfulness and the meditation, the more we involuntarily notice impermanence. Changes in what we see, ever-changing experience of sight, sound, sensation, flavor, scent, and the like, an ever-changing experience of emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination. The impermanence of the seasons, the changing of the seasons reminds us of the impermanence of year. The waxing and the waning of the moon remind us of the impermanence of a month. The rising and the setting of the sun remind us of the impermanence of a day. The swelling and the sinking of our chest reminds us of the impermanence of a breath. Ever-changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. And it is a regular practice of mindfulness and meditation that unlock the vault of impermanence, the key to the wisdom of letting go. Let's meditate. We come now to our third phase of mindful crease counting, where we will keep track of our third of 4 collections of our left hand's 8 sets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, of our right hand's 8 repetitions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap so that our thumbs could happily count creases. As such, our subtle energies could coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Please chant with me. The beauty of sky blue kuntu zongpo and cloud white kuntu zongpo yalbyum reminds us of the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived. So, here's how that plays out. The key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus helping us to notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination in a manner that is distinctly vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each inhalation, thus causing us to so release what we perceived during our previous inhalation that it could feel fleetingly less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. But what has this to do with love? There are 4 fringe benefits to practicing mindfulness and meditation. The first we've already explored, and that's a visceral realization of impermanence. The second and third are as follows. Regularly training in mindfulness and meditation can calm the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala and stimulate the empathy of our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and consequentially compassion and love. Well, so what? Well, so this. Loving kindness comprises 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, the second-fold, kind intention, the third-fold, kind communication, the fourth-fold, kind conduct, and the fifth-fold, kind commerce. The highest love is not the product of the contrivance of focus and analysis, but rather the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. This has been confirmed by fMRI studies. And now, let's practice. Good morning, and welcome to the fourth and final phase of mindful crease counting, where we gather the fourth of four collections of our left hand's 8 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of our right hand's 8 repetitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We keep track of our fourth collection by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap so that our thumbs can happily count creases. Doing so gently invites our subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Please chant with me. The stability with which sky blue samantha sins, and the abandon with which cloud white samantha sports, reminds us of effortless efforts centered spontaneity. You know, I think the quotation marks are supposed to be on the outside of the period. Must not incur the wrath of the grammar Nazis. So, here's mindfulness and meditation in a nutshell. The key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus helping us to notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination in a manner that is distinctly vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Doing so helps us to release what we perceived during our previous inhalation as if they were fleetingly less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. Now, the fourth benefit of regularly training in mindfulness and meditation is that we could experience our choices and our utterances and our deeds beginning to flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. This is the 6th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. And the conclusion of my thesis that simply by training in the 7th fold's mindfulness and the 8th fold's meditation, the remaining 6th folds of the Buddha's path are rapidly mastered. Come together as a team, let us practice right now. And by the way, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. We switch gears now from silent meditation to mantra meditation. Let us begin by chanting an explanation of the 12-syllable mantra. I invoke teachers on loving action, on mindfulness and meditation, as well as the Hungvi supporting release that the Benzotantric Guru teachers pay my enlightenment, density abilities whom may be mastered by all. During our inhalation, silently and mentally, we recite relaxing into this. What is this? This is whatever we notice during our inhalation. Whatever we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Whether that which we notice is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. During our exhalation, we can physically relax as best we can while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Here's a fun little tool you might find helpful. During your exhalation, you could count 1 breath per finger and 1 repetition per set of creases. Now, if this is your first time hanging out with me, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. The most important thing is not the speed with which you recite or the melodiousness with which you chant. That's a tough word for me. But rather, being vulnerable as you breathe in and relaxing as you breathe out. Okay, here we go. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 So thus far we have practiced Maha Yoga's wisdom warm-up, Ati Yoga's mindfulness and meditation, including Anu Yoga's gesture-oriented energy work. And now we're going to conclude with Maha Yoga's compassionate cool-down, which is also known as mantra-oriented loving-kindness. For loving-kindness comprises 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Please chant with me. Rather than indulge or controlling tendencies with all follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors with statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. We can keep track of our 6th of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions by touching the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left little finger and resting our left hand upon our left thigh. Doing so gently invites our subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. May we be a font of blessing for all upon who we think or who think of us. May all minds of all beings now be as peacefully enlightened as the lucid yet void mind of a real or imagined Buddha, symbolized by a tikle one syllable seed or bija mantra. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 The mental morality of kind intention is the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard. We turn our attention now to, in an effort to keep track of our 7th of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions, we can gently touch the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left ring finger and rest this left hand upon our left thigh, thus gently inviting our subtle energies to coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. May we be a font of blessing for all who we listen to, speak to, or speak of, and for all who we listen, and for all who listen to us, or speak to us, or speak of us. May all relationships or speech of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha speech, resounding yet void, net symbolized by a multi-syllabic mantra. One moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's underline the word lucid because that's the code I like to use. 1, 2, 3, 4. Resounding. Fabulous. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 The interpersonal morality of kind communication is the third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. To keep track of our 8th of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions, we could gently touch the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left middle finger and rest this left hand upon our left thigh, thus inviting our subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. May we be a font of blessing for all who we touch or who touch us. Together. May all bodies or forms of all beings know and show the beautiful health represented by Buddha's statuary, depicting the blissful, depicting the blissful body, sensual yet void of a real or imagined yet Dhamma type of enlightenment. So, we're going to take all these words and allow them to coalesce into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. During our inhalation, silently and mentally, we can recite those 6 syllables. During our exhalation, we can physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant the 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Now, if this is your first time hanging out with me or hanging out with me, please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. The most important thing is not how fast you recite the mantra or how melodiously you intone it, but rather how vulnerable you are during the inhalation and how relaxed you are during the exhalation. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Mema Ziri Hung. 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 The physical morality of kind conduct is the 4th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. We come now to our final, the 9th of 9 collections of our right hand's 12 mantra repetitions. We keep track of it by resting the tip of our left thumb. By touching the tip of our left thumb to the tip of our left index finger, and then resting this left hand upon our left thigh, thus gently inviting our subtle energies to coalesce upon the crown of our head. May we be a font of blessing for all who we see or who see us. Together. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know have the safe fortune or boon, as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land or vati, appearing yet void. So yes, may we lovingly wish that all beings everywhere be liberated from the tyranny of cruelty, the tyranny of sexism and racism, of Islamophobia and homophobia, the tyranny of classism and exploitation, the tyranny of fascism, jingoism, and genocide. We can take all these words and allow them to coalesce into just 6 syllables that we divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. If you've just joined in, during our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite this 6-syllable synopsis of our loving intention. During our exhalation, we're going to physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. The most important thing is not how fast you chant or how melodiously you intone, but rather how well you relax into your loving wish. This is not a prayer to an imaginary entity. We are simply exercising our own neural pathways responsible for empathy. Om Ahum Minzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. 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 The circumstantial morality of kind commerce is the 5th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Don't panic, my fellow geeks, for the meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 42. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 2 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's mid-morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.